Namaste, everybody, and welcome back to Dr. Arjun by Astrology. Today, I have a very special video that I wanted to do on Nakshatra symbols and also about the archaeological excellence or wonder of the South Indian temples. So, this video is I'll be talking about decoding some of the nakshatra symbols and also looking at some architecture from 1100 year 1100-year old Shiva temple, which is very unique Shiva temple in the southern part of India. Now, this Shiva temple, most of the Shiva temples that you find in India, they usually have a Shiva Lingam, and that is how we worship Shiva. But this unique temple in India is said to be where Shiva is worshipped as formless and also in the form of a tree, which is formless, and also as one of his devotees. So, in three forms. So, the main sanctum where you have the temple, there is no Shiva Lingam inside, there is only the pedestal. So this Shiva temple is considered to be one of the most unique temples in India. Now, from this temple, I will also show you, some of the secrets of the nakshatras and the symbologies. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me share you more about this temple. Okay, now this temple is called as Aathmanathar Temple in Avudayar Koil in Thiruperunthurai, Tamil Nadu in India. So originally this place was called as Thiruperunthurai, and currently it is called as Avudayar Koil or Koil. So Avudayar means a place on which the pedestal of Shiva at the Shiva Lingam has been kept. So because there are two parts of Shiva. One is the upper part of the Shiva, which is called as the Banam, or which has the Lingam and the Yoni. But the base, the pedestal is called as, Avudayar in Tamil. So that's why this place has been termed as Avudayar, because there is only the pedestal which is there inside the sanctum in this temple. And this temple keeps only a small kuvalai. Kuvalai means a bowl. So an empty bowl is kept inside the sanctum to represent that there is nothingness. So that's why this temple, Shiva is worshipped as Aathmanathar. Aathmanathar means the Lord of the soul. And because soul doesn't have a form or a shape, so Shiva is worshipped in the form of a soul here in this temple. So that's why the Tamil word kuvalai, which means a bowl which has been kept there, which is empty. And this temple also has only 3 lamps which are lit inside the sanctum, because there is no statue or there is no other forms of deities or idealized inside this temple. So the 3 lamps represents the 3 eyes of Shiva. So on one side, which is the white lamp, which shows its connection with the sun, the right eye. The left eye is the moon, which is green, and then the middle eye, which is red in color, which represents Agni, the fire element. Now, he's also worshipped in 2 other forms in this temple. He's worshipped in the form of this great Shivaite saint called Maanikkavaasagarhas. So this 9th century Shivaite sage called Maanikkavaasagarhas is the one who came here. He was the chief cabinet member or the prime minister of a Pandian king in the 9th century. And he came to this place called Thiruperunthurai in looking for buying horses. So he was given enough money by the Pandian king to go there and to buy horses. But when he came here, he could hear prayers to Shiva in the form of Shiva Agamana mantras. So when he went closer to observe where it is coming from, he saw a teacher who was sitting there and reciting the mantras. And looking at the teacher, he just went to the guru and he said, I want to learn this. And as soon as he kept listening to the thing, he went into a trance with his eyes closed. When he opened his eyes, Saint Maanikkavaasagarhas also found out that it was Lord Shiva himself who had come as a guru. So he wanted to build a temple for him. So at the very place under this Kuruntha tree, Kuruntha means bakul, also it is called in Hindi, or bullet wood. The botanical name is Mimosops elengi. So under this tree is where he saw his guru, and that's why in this temple the tree is also worshipped in the form of Shiva, and also as his devotee who built this temple, which is the 9th century Shivaite saint Maanikkavaasagarhas, is also worshipped. So these are the three forms. So this temple is very, very unique in architectural wonder and marvel. And one has to go and visit this place to really understand the beauty of this temple. With all the murals, the wall paintings, and the sculptural wonders are fantastic. And what I have to say about this temple is there is also a very unique thing where Shiva is sitting in the form of on mount of a horse, and that's why he's also worshipped there as Kuture Swami. Kuture means Kudurai or Kuturai. Kuturai means horse. So he's mounted on a horse. Usually you see Shiva, having Nandi there. There is no sign of Nandi in this temple. So this great saint, who was also called as a Siddha, and the Siddha was very knowledgeable even with astronomy and astrology. And this temple has a very unique feature that it is this place exactly where it is said that Arjuna had worshipped, Shiva in the form of a hunter, and he was gifted the Pasupatastra, which means the celestial weapon of Shiva was granted to him, the Pashupati Astra. So that's why this is very unique. Okay, so let's go and see what is even more unique in terms of astrological significance. Okay, so let's go to see that at this temple, at the entrance, as you go inside the main sanctum, you don't find that there are no worship of Navagrahas in the form of a shrine. All the Navagrahas, the 9 planets, are in the form of pillars. So there are 4 pillars there. The first pillar where you see Rahu and Ketu mounted. The second pillar where we have, Shani, Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, and Mars being, mounted on those. The second pillar. The third pillar you see Surya Bhagavan, which is sun god with his 2 spouses, Chaya and Usha. They adorn him, and there is also Buddha, which is Mercury, which is there on the third pillar. The fourth pillar is very unique, which is given to the moon. Okay, but there is no shrine inside. But what caught my eye was this beautiful carving as you enter towards the main sanctum of this temple. Now, when we see this picture here, it just looks like some flowers and some pictures. But if you really look very deeply, you will understand these are the 28 Nakshatras, which includes Abhijit as well. Now, there is a very unique formation, and to understand this, and through which we will also learn about the symbology. Let's go and try to magnify this image, and let's see what does it symbolizes and what can we learn from this. Now, when I magnify this image, it just looks like a bunch of flowers and some design, but actually it is the 28 nakshatras, and you can see that each of them have a very unique way of its representation. So I'll show you a couple of them, And then I will also show you the order in which they are also been placed. Now, when you look at the the two flowers on each side, we see one is the Purva and the Uttara Nakshatras, which is the Purva and Uttara Shada Nakshatras. Next to the Purva and Uttara Shada Nakshatra, you will find that it is Shravana Nakshatra. The three flowers that it is representing, the three steps of Vishnu, we know that it's Vamana avatar. And we also know that Shravana means the ear, the listening here or the ear. And also remember, the ear has only three small bones inside the ear. So these are the smallest bones in the human body. So you can go and read about them. So that's why it's called as the drum or the ear drum. Okay, the ear drum, which we say as Shravishta, which is Dhanishta. So the three flowers there representing Shravana Nakshatra, and then the two things looking at Purva and Uttara Shada Nakshatra. Okay. Now let's go and see, because it's quite fascinating to see that there are so many flowers, and how do you try to interpret this as the nakshatras. So let's go again and let's look at each of those nakshatras. So you can see that the uniqueness of this is in the order which I have shown you. Okay, and you can see two commonalities here is Ardra Nakshatra, which is usually represented by a single star, which we call as Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse. So that's why you can see Ardra Nakshatra is only represented by a single flower. That's very unique. The next star where you can see only a single flower is Swati Nakshatra. Swati Nakshatra, you can see again a big flower which is single, because it represents only one single star, which is called as Arcturus. So Arcturus is a single star, and that's why Swati is represented as a single star. Now, Chitra is very unique here, because you're seeing two flowers here. One is a bigger flower, and then there is a very small flower which is very faint at the corner. Now, we all know today that Chitra Nakshatra is represented by a bright star, which we call as Spica or Spica. So you can see there is another faint star, maybe, which was there in the constellation. What we say is Chitra Nakshatra today. Now, look at Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Jyeshtha is also very unique. You can see it represents, it looks like a earring. So the symbology of Jyeshtha being associated with the earring is the four stars, which makes it look like a earring. So that's the beauty of this, this design work that has been crafted maybe 1100 years ago, when this great Indian Shivaite saint built this temple, and all of this was crafted then. This was very much before the discovery of telescope. We know that telescope was probably discovered in maybe in the 1600, early 1600. So think about this 1100 years ago. There was no telescopes, and just with the with their divine vision, you can see the saints have actually knew about the symbology that makes up each of those nakshatras. Now look at Vishaka. Vishaka is looking like a garland, but today's time we call Vishaka is associated with Toran. The Toran means usually a small piece of decorative items that is put at the entrance of the door. The main door of the house is like you are entering into a different world altogether. And with the Toran there, which is a small decoration at the top of the entrance of the house, is what is a representation of Vishaka Nakshatra. Okay. Now, all of these are very unique. You can see that Puru Falguni, you can see on one side, and maybe the picture has cut off itself, so you can see Uttara Falguni as well. Now, look at Pushya Nakshatra. Pushya Nakshatra is a lotus. Can you see the beautiful design that you see there? And look at Bharani Nakshatra with the three stars that you see. And we say it is like a yoni, it's like the womb of a mother. Kritika Nakshatra, also you see it's a beautiful 6 stars nakshatra. Kritika we know is made of 6 stars and it's connected to Kartikeya or Pleiades. Kartikeya, Skanda, Subramanya, these are different names. He is also called as Shanmukha because he's six-faced. So the 6 stars represents the sixth phase, or it is also like the Star of David. That's a representation. So, very unique way of representing all of these, and I was really fascinated by this amount of information that has been, carved, 1,000 years ago, which was very fascinating to me. Now, let's go and see how is this order, and then we look at the 28. So, we start with the order of Ashwini. If you can see here, I've tried to do my best with the figures. Maybe they're not looking very clearly, but you can see it's like a face of a horse. This is Ashwini Nakshatra. The second one is Bharani Nakshatra. Then we have Kritika Nakshatra, 6 stars, and so on and so forth. And then we will go to, this is Uttara Falguni Nakshatra. If you understand the nakshatras and their symbology, you will see the Uttara and the Purva nakshatras are like the 4 legs of a cart. So you will see all the Uttara and the Purva nakshatras, which is Uttara Falguni, Purva Falguni, Purvashada, Uttarashada, Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada. All of them are represented by 2 flowers, and they look like the Bhadrapadas will look like the final stage. It's the funeral cart that you would say, the final stages of your life. And Purva and Uttara is like your conjugal bed. We say, initial stage of your life when you go into from Grahastha, you go into the Grahastha ashram. And in between also there is a cart for the Purva and the Uttara. So this is Hasta Nakshatra. You can see Hasta is represented by 5 stars, and you can see 5 stars. They're like the 4 fingers and the thumb. That's how it has been represented. Then we have Chitra Nakshatra, very close to it, the next, but then taking it down to Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Okay, so that's how the sequence they have designed it. And then we see Revati Nakshatra, and then finally, the 28th Nakshatra, which is an intercalatory Nakshatra, which we call as Abhijit Nakshatra, which is, there is no flower there. It's a representation of saying that we do not use this, but it's shown as the emptiness that you see there with Abhijit is saying that it's become a supernova. So a beautiful way of how our ancients really knew about this level of information. Now, very surprisingly, you see this whole sequence doesn't start with the Ashwini Nakshatra, but at this temple, you see from the left to the right, you start with Uttara Falguni and Hasta Nakshatra, and that's how you go through this whole loop. So it's very surprising to see, the Falguna Nakshatras and Hasta Nakshatras both are associated with the Vedic solar deity, because Uttara Falguni, as we know, is associated with Bhaga in the ancient times, and later on we have also associated with Aryama. Both are Vedic solar deities. And then Savitur, which is Hasta Nakshatra. So a very unique way of trying to show the beginning of the nakshatras through its Vimshottari association with Surya Bhagwan. And Atma, let us remember, here in this temple, Shiva is worshipped as Aathmanathar, which means he symbolizes the soul. And we know amongst all the planets, Sun is a representation of the soul. Secondly, we also know that Arjuna, the great warrior from the epic Mahabharata, he was given the Astra, Pasupatastra. Pashupati Astra was given to him in this same place where this temple was being built later on. So that's why you see Arjuna was called as Falguna. So it's in honor of that, and also Hasta, which means he was called as ambidextrous, and that's why his other name was Sabyasachi or Savya Sachin. Savya Sachin means being ambidextrous. So Hasta and Uttara Falguni. Falguna is his own birth star of Arjuna, and Hasta is a representation of his skill with the hand. So very surprising to see that the sequence of the nakshatras have not started from Ashwini or Kritika as you would generally believe it to be, but it is starting from Uttara Falguni or Hasta. So so this is great. This was what I wanted to share with you. It's a short video, I know, and please share your comments and let me know what you felt about this video. I will be covering more such videos, and this place is so very fascinating, and there are so much of information packed in our temples in terms of sculptures, paintings, and artifacts that we can't believe. So let's learn more from our ancients and their skill. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching this video. And if you like, please share your comments here so that I can bring you more relevant videos that you would like to learn about nakshatras. So thank you very much and namaste.